just been through, you know, a lot emotionally and continue to, because I feel like I constantly kind of go over things in my mind as to the years and leading up to having lost Scotty and question a lot of things and wonder about a lot of things. My name is Mimi Simmons, and I'm a mom. I'm a sister. Have 3 children, Elizabeth, Allison, and Scotty. Scotty is my youngest, and Scotty passed away from an overdose, an accidental overdose. Growing up, Scotty was still a very happy-go-lucky little boy and very engaging, loved sports, loved, you know, being silly, but anger set in for him. He showed signs of being depressed, and also teachers questioned if he was ADD or ADHD. He started to get some prescriptions for attention deficit disorder. You know, and he's young. He's 6th grade, 12 years old. Medications were prescribed. I remember Adderall was one of them. I mean, there wasn't a lot of education on our part, you know, for the adult to know, you know, things about this medication. So we would get a medication, he'd try it for a little while, and he wouldn't want to take it. He's like, no, I don't like the way it makes me feel. It makes me feel jittery. You know, whatever the side effect may have been. So it's like, okay, we might stop for a while, you know, but then signs would come back again, and we'd try another one. So probably at any given time, we probably had 3 or 4 different prescriptions, you know, in the house. And at one point, he took those medications because he was kind of back to those, and he crushed the Adderall and he snorted it and took a bunch of them. Ended up going to school, and I got a call from the nurse at the high school that said, you know, Scotty's having a reaction. Ended up taking him into the emergency room. You know, they felt that it may have been, is this an attempted suicide? I mean, they asked Scott, I was standing right there, did you want to die? Did you want to hurt yourself? And he was saying no. So a psychiatrist came in and said he's borderline personality disorder, borderline schizophrenia maybe. Said, you know, he needs some help, he needs to get help. And we were like, okay, so can we reach out and is this something? No, I'm too busy, you're going to have to, you know, do something. I don't know what to tell you, but I can't help you. And here, you know, I'm hearing schizophrenia, I'm hearing, you know, personality disorder, you know, this is all new to me. So he said that, and wasn't there to help us necessarily, but it wasn't like I went and like tried to find something else, you know, or someone else to help. You know, it was just, oh, okay, and we left the hospital and Scott was better, and it was kind of like, okay, you know, we're going to see how we do here. So in terms of seeing a psychologist or a psychiatrist, that never took place. Scotty went back to school, went and saw the drug and alcohol counselor at the school. We talked to her, got through the rest of the school year, failed. He was also getting into medicine cabinets. He had a backpack, and I was a nosy mom. And at one point, I found a pack of little pills in his backpack, and I'm like, what are these? And he's like, oh, that's just my medication. I'm like, no, that's not what this is, and I took it, and he had a fit. It was like, almost like a boot camp. You know, they kind of stripped them of everything, except the very basics. And a therapist was on site daily. The therapists, you know, were like, they're detoxing. I'd never even heard, I'm like, detoxing? I don't know what that, you know, what does that mean for my son? He's detoxing. So he had been using the opiates more than we realized. He showed us how he, you know, could start a fire. You know, he had learned some really basic stuff. He was so proud of himself. There was some, you know, you really could feel gratitude from him in that we had come out and that he was seeing us. So he was different. So their recommendation at the end of a program like this is that they don't go home, that they go to the next program. We finally decided on a place up in Rochester, New Hampshire. And it was a therapeutic boarding school, and he would live there. He's going to apply to Plymouth State, and that's where he wanted to go. And he got in, and that made him feel wonderful. He had an allowance given to him on a monthly basis, and he ended up taking that money and he was putting it towards buying painkillers. You know, it was kind of at that point things were coming out in the news, because I would be reading the newspaper all the time and hearing stories of loss, and still thinking I couldn't even think that my son might be one of these people one of these days. That won't be my Scott. That isn't, you know, who he is. And the holidays came. He was supposed to be going in for an appointment for the Vivitrol, and then the Christmas holiday hit, and he went and canceled an appointment on a Thursday. He was supposed to go down to Mass General. He missed his appointment, so they didn't check him. So if he hadn't taken his Suboxone, he was now off, you know, having had any medication. Then he wasn't necessarily going to come see me. He wouldn't, you know, commit to coming to the house and not being home alone. And as it turns out, it was that afternoon he went and got something. And he was gone by 5 p.m. that night, because I wasn't hearing from him. So I went looking for him. The addiction was not what he wanted for himself and saw himself being.